America is not a racist country.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about the exonerations. And before you even get to this point, you have to look over the history. What these folks have done is go above and beyond to keep us in a perpetual slavery, and they've all participated in it and still do. Karen and Darren out in these streets calling the police over every little teeny issue, and white cops that only want to work in black neighborhoods. And even their kids are participants in school, being racist, lying on black children. They're all participants in it. So the moment our folks, our forefathers, stepped off of the plantation, they got labeled as criminal. They had to figure out a way to justify keeping you always locked up and in chains or in some slave like condition. So there was sharecropping. Sharecropping was nothing but slavery. The convict lease program, nothing but slavery. And they still do that, by the way. I found a story that I did a few years ago where they take black prisoners out and literally going to white people's homes or businesses to do work. So they're still doing that. And now mass incarceration is the tool that's used to keep our people in a perpetual slavery. So it just goes to show you, so you have a history, right, of slavery, and that history of them keeping us hosed up somewhere has never changed. Exonerations would not occur unless these folks were full participants in it. And you can't forget the politicians that have wrote laws that were intended for no one but the black community. All full participants in everything that's happening today. So black prison exonerees outpace all other groups. Who was the enslaved in the country? All right. If you're awake, you can see through this entire thing. I could see through it as a child. I knew what they were doing, especially once you learn the history. That's why they want the history out of here. But that's not going to stop any of us that's not sitting in your schools from talking about the history. At the end of the day, all this CRT and running around trying to get people fired and get books out of life, it's all in vain. How do you try to get rid of a history 500 years later? Excuse me? Really? All right, y'all. One thing America don't care about is an innocent black man, woman, or child. How many videos have we seen of our people shopping and they get accused of stealing and nothing in the store was stolen? We have seen them videos so many times, I have lost count. They've kept it all going. Lynchings and everything. Kept it all going. So let's talk about this because it's not just the police and why white cops want to be in black neighborhoods. You also got the prosecutor, you got the judges, you got them all participating in keeping our people in a perpetual slavery. So, innocent black people are significantly more likely to face wrongful convictions than white people. Right. And see, that's how you know it's a deliberate act. It's a sabotaging. It's sabotaging our people. If this was a mistake, then we should see this happening to every single group of people out here, right? We don't. We see it primarily happening to black men and women and children that are being sabotaged by another group of people. That's what these exonerations are adding up to. Our people are being heavily sabotaged. All right. And if we were as bad, I'm gonna keep going to this. If we were as bad as they claim, then why do we keep consistently seeing white people lying on black people? You're lying to get people put away. The cops are out here lying on police report. Karen and Darren are lying on our people out in the streets, calling the police. If we were as bad as you claim, why so many lies? why why are you lying so much on a people that's supposed to be horrible? If we're so bad, shouldn't that just speak for itself? Why are you throwing so many lies into the mix? Because it's sabotaging. The fact that it's happening to one group and no other group, as if all these other groups, I mean, look at these Asians out here human trafficking and got these massage parlors, which is nothing but prostitution, and they got street gangs too, y'all. Don't think that they don't have gangs, and they kill each other. I mean, all of them are. And when you look at the FBI report, a lot of white people are killing other white people. A lot. But the only one they seem to be making this error with are black people. Come on. Yeah, it's a sabotaging. So, a September report by the National Registry of Exonerations found highlighting a stark racial disparities black Americans continue to battle within the US justice system. You're battling it because they're trying to keep this perpetual slavery going at all cost. And even that Justice Department of Justice in Washington, D.C., they are full participants in it too. Look at how many times one of our people were wrongfully killed by the cops, and the DOJ did absolutely nothing. They won't even look at the cases. Okay? They are full participants in, and it's not just this. If you go back historically when the lynchings were going through the roof, Washington politicians were contacted and they refused to help. So the politicians have always been full participants in sabotaging us. Full participants on high level offenses. So these are the crimes that the average black man, who is the most incarcerated in America, is getting pinned on them. False crimes, sabotaging, murder, sexual assaults, and drug crimes are the highest that are placed on black men. Black Americans are 7 times more likely to be victims of police misconduct. In other words, your cops are out here going overboard, abusing and killing us, okay? And spend more time in prison than their white counterparts, the study found. No, they don't want to put them in at all. Just look at what's happening with Brett Favre. That is a perfect example of how a crime is committed, and they're upset that anybody is talking about this, and they're mad at us for even bringing it up, because in their minds, no matter what the crime they committed, they really shouldn't be in there at all. And they literally have let them skip out on a multitude of crimes. Okay, drug offenses is probably the biggest one that they will stick on black men. Despite the illegal use of drugs being similar between black and white Americans. Um, so the exonerations for drug crimes, 69% black. But who is putting these charges on black men like that? The police. That's why they're in your black neighborhood. They gotta keep the prisons full with us, the offspring of the slaves. There's no way for them to do it unless they're in your neighborhood. That's why they won't leave. Or when we talk about the cops should look like the community, they ignore all of that and stay in the black community. They just ignore it. Because what other way are they going to keep putting you in there if they're not in your neighborhood? What other way are they going to keep the prisons full if they're not in your neighborhood? So they got to keep accusing you and justifying it, and the prosecutors and the judges and the juries all going along with the whole thing. And that's why all white juries are primarily used even to this day. And many times these juries don't even look like the neighborhood the trial is taking place in. They have to keep these people all stacked up around us in order to keep this whole system, this prison enslavement system going. There's no other way they can do it unless they're around us all the time, getting in your business, lying on you. You know, they have to do these things to keep their prisons all stuffed up with us. All right. So, they're still using that. We're 13% of the population. 69% of the false drug crimes are placed on black men, compared to only 16% on white men. That's how you know they know exactly what they're doing, because they know not to put it on any other group like they do us. Of the many costs that the war on drugs, which is a war on black people, inflicts the black community, the practice of deliberately charging innocent defendants with fabricated crimes may be the most shameful, said University of Michigan law professor Samuel Gross, author of Race and Wrongful Convictions 2022, senior editor of the registry. So he's telling you that they are fabricating, which is just another form of sabotage, crimes, and it's shameful. at the levels they're fabricating crimes on black men. Yeah, it's shameful, but you won't stop doing it. They won't stop doing this, y'all, because they're making a lot of money off of it. They're making tons and tons and billions every single year off of these false imprisonments. So they figure, yeah, it's a wrong thing to do, but look at the money they're making. So at the end of the day, it's worth keeping you in there, even if you're in there for something they done made up. That's how they see it. Yeah, we know we lied to get you in there, but look at all the profit we're making from doing that. So, so we won't stop doing it because it's just so much money being made, keeping you in there doing that prison labor for free or pennies on the dollar. We're making a killing off of that. Why should we stop doing it? He said it's shameful. Yes, it's shameful, but you won't stop doing it because it's shameful. Money over everything. That's how this society has ran all this time. Money over everything. But even this law professor admits that fabricating crimes on black men is shameful. They'll talk about it, but they'll never do anything about it. That's one thing about them. When they got you in an oppressive state, they have to keep the sabotage going. They're not making no changes. Your politicians are not pushing any legislation. And you don't see them going hard on getting innocent black men and women out of jail. But you know what you did see them go hard on? They went hard on keeping their opioid addicts out of jail. But they never went hard on the crack addicts that are still sitting in there to this very day. The last time they went hard on not putting somebody in jail, it was for the opioid addicts. And then they made up this whole drug court, but for the crack epidemic, it was criminal court. And those folks went to jail and got no help. But their opioid addicts went to drug court, got rehab, and got another chance. That was the last time they went hard on keeping people from being incarcerated. And look at the faces of those people. Those folks look primarily like them. The study referenced instances of police deliberately planting drugs on innocent black people in order to justify arrest. I think I told y'all this before. Back in the 80s, in the city of Philadelphia, where I grew up, they had to let 1,100 inmates go. It was a ring of cops that were out in black neighborhoods planting drugs on black men. Some weapons, some drugs, some both. And they got busted. And you probably can still find the story online. It might have been the 90s, it was somewhere around there. And they had to let 1,100 inmates go that they planted drugs and weapons on. And those cops were jailed. It was a ring of them doing it. And I know it happened in other locations, but locally, that was the place where, we get a lot of our news from. But, we know these things have been going on. And look, even they're admitting it. Yes, these cops are deliberately planting drugs on innocent black people to justify their arrest. But if we are as bad as they claim we are, why plant anything? That's how you know this is all part of the sabotage. And it's psychological warfare to make you believe something about yourself that's not true. If it was true, you wouldn't have to do this amount of lying on a person or a group of people. It's psychological warfare. See, once you wake up, you can see through everything that's happening to us. They don't want you to see through it. They want you to be naive and just go along with anything they say. But no, none of us have to be naive today because it's just too much evidence to prove that they're doing this. It's all a sabotaging. Authors of the report said that the drug crime exonerations had ballooned to 554 exonerees from 221 5 years ago, the majority of whom were black, including 259 of whom had been framed by police. If we're committing all the crimes, then why do you have to frame us? If you claim we're committing all the crime, but we're just seeing all this lying through the roof. You may be fooling some, but you certainly ain't fooling me. That's for sure, with none of the things that you do. So, the National Registry of Exonerations is a project of the University of California, Irvine, the University of Michigan Law School, Michigan State University College of Law. You know what? Why do y'all got your schools all named similarly? Boy, this is another sign of no originality. The studies and analysis, exonerations for homicide, sexual assaults, and drug offenses from 1989. Well, the sexual assault also is historic. They have always accused black men of raping white women. So the sexual assault thing actually has a history behind it, too. All right. The registry of 2022 report of these criminal cases revealed a total of 3,248 exonerations by mid August for reasons including innovations and lab testing. I don't even know why y'all lab testing anything. You put them people in there lying on them. The hell out of here, lab testing. So anyway, particularly cases of rape and sexual assault, the findings of police and prosecution misconduct. In other words, you're all a bunch of damn liars. In comparison, do not include Latinos, Asians, and indigenous people. Well, it shouldn't include them because they don't get it at the same rates as the black man. And y'all know it. That's how you know you are going out of your way to do these things because it's not happening to anyone else. So, anyway, let's move on. In addition to exonerations for drug crimes, the study found that Black people were 7.2 times likely to be wrongfully convicted of murder and almost 8 times more likely to be convicted of rape. And like I said, there's a history on the rape. White women always getting raped by some black man, yeah, as if white men don't rape you. Get the hell out of here. Y'all primarily get raped by white men, and you know it. Authors say that the number of factors played into the wrongful convictions, including high homicide rates in Black communities, and instances of sexual assault, the difficulty of cross racial eyewitness identification, which is virtually wrong the majority of the time, the ability of people to accurately identify individuals of another race, which white people get badly wrong. Okay. Yeah, well, the reason why they get it wrong is because they're just lying straight up. They're just straight up lying. That's why it's always wrong. So, anyway, but also at play are high instances of law enforcement malfeasance targeting Black individuals. That's why predominantly white cops want to be in Black areas policing. That's why. How are they going to lie on you and keep stuffing you in there if they're not around you? They got to have access to you in order to pull this off all this time. There were especially prevalent in the organization groups exonerations in which hundreds of individuals, including in the registry, were found that the victims of deliberate police misconduct, in other words, lying on Black folks. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why this is happening is we know that there is a big concerted effort to lie on Black people. And then the people that are helping with the exonerations are also white. And that's why it's like painfully constipated slow in getting Black men out of there. They're in there 3, 4, 5 decades, 6 decades to get them out because they are the ones that are controlling the groups that do exonerations. See, they're involved in everything. That's why it's like lethargic in getting these men out. If they were sincere about this, they would get you out immediately when they realize you're wrongfully in there. But they take decades and decades and decades to get you out because the main ones involved in these exonerations are white. So it's a game all the way around. It's sabotaging all the way around. Y'all, please tell me what you think about this story. And I want my people to stop getting on soapboxes, especially when you know you have this information, and blame us. It's Black people doing this to other Black people. Yes, in some cases it is. But the amount of sabotaging outweighs, listen to me now, outweighs Black people doing things to other Black people. Trust me on this one. Trust me, because it's true. And you can't talk about crime happening to Black people without talking about all the sabotaging that's happening to us. So if you're skipping over that and you're just on the soapbox talking about Black people doing this to other Black people and you're ignoring all of the things that I've just told you in this article, then you're being disingenuous at this point. Y'all, please tell me what you think about this video. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.